Coach, getting you in shape and form for the age of Aquarius yet again. You're now drinking the wine of Zeus. Welcome to the Zeus Cast. Today we're going to talk about some subconscious shit. You know what I'm saying? Some prenatal trauma um, on this very day. You know what I'm saying? Getting spiritually expanded. There's going to be a little bit mixed with spirituality, and human. I'm the only spiritual human here. Um, I'm the human that got the spirit and angels behind me and stuff like that. So I got all the angles I can see in different ways and stuff like that to kind of help our mind and stuff. So as Zeus Ceito, the spirit coach and things, you know what I'm saying. These are things that first allow to myself to process, and then once I get that message and stuff, I'm gone. But prenatal trauma is a big one because a lot of times we're in spaces where we're not really kind of addressing some of these things with ourselves. And this specific one can lead to blockages in many areas in your life. You know what I'm saying? And the more you know that that's what's going on, it automatically kind of puts you in this space where you kind of waking up spiritually. But you can have a lot to teach and a lot to offer others around you based upon you having some type of usefulness. And if you got like the negative prenatal trauma, then you might not feel useful. But this is essentially like my first topic, my first conversation about this. So I'm gonna kind of treat it like a chat. I'm not really trying to, be extra on point with the notes and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? These are things that came to me, and through my studies and whatever, I can, help, you see if you may feel like you got prenatal trauma based upon, you being you not being able to move forward in an area of your life, but you don't know why. You know what I'm saying? And stuff, because it wasn't never anything said to you directly that you can't achieve that situation, or you can't achieve that goal in mind, or you can't achieve that idea. That wasn't necessarily said to you directly and stuff, but based upon you being in an infant stage, in your primordial stage, kind of creating your chakras and shit to come to earth, you were still in a developing phase. So if you are aware enough, you are developing, uh, you know, experiences, and experiences create adrenaline, blood flow, information that seep into your being and produce how your psyche reacts and responds to the environment. So that's another way to look at it as well when it comes to prenatal trauma. So a lot of us, because we think, okay, these things aren't taught in school. Astrology ain't taught in school. Um, you know, a lot of this knowledge on this level ain't taught in our neighborhoods and in our communities. We not necessarily privy to these things for the most part. We kind of just let these things. We kind of let ourselves. These things just come and go. You know what I'm saying? Or these feelings and come and go, and we over time be developing stuff. You know what I'm saying? That be going against us, but we trying to be ourselves. But essentially, it ain't necessarily happening in a fashion way because we got undealt with trauma that we haven't addressed or we haven't created with. But thank God for people like me and other people online in the subconscious studies and in the spiritual studies, we can kind of make up for it based upon our experiences and having a mind to kind of, bring together with another individual. So we're going to start the live. So, yeah, first of all, you can understand that there are certain traumas, and I'm gonna just put it like this. So there are certain traumas and curses placed on you early before birth. These come as the thoughts and feelings of impossibilities that your mom had developed carrying you based on your father. So it's really dealing with your mom and how she was carrying you and the thoughts and the feelings that she was developing in the situation carrying you. So this is called prenatal trauma, and they play out as mental blocks. And it comes from a male figure. I mean, if it comes from a male figure, it'll likely affect you mentally. And if it comes from a female, it'll likely affect you emotionally. Yeah, it'll likely affect you emotionally. Also, it affects female and male differently. So that's another thing to keep in mind. It can more so be detrimental to a spirit in a male body because a female can find a man that can give her direction. And this is why females like manifest more of the being taken care of energy. So that's another thing to keep in mind too. You know, a lot of people, the person who, the spirit that deal with the prenatal trauma the worst is the male spirit. And based upon, and why I'm saying this, because usually a female is in a space of you know, somebody that can give her direction, whether that's, you know, that's what they're here to do. They're here to receive. So if they don't receive it from the person that they get in a family, they can find a man to do that or whatever, whether it's a thought about a man or something that can empower them, etc. When you experience a prenatal trauma as a male, you know what I'm saying, it's a little bit harder because, you know, you don't have, you, so when you experience prenatal trauma as a male, you know what I'm saying, it's going to play out differently from you because you not really in a space where, unless you got the trauma part, you got good direction, you know what I'm saying, or you got direction that's going to help your mind out or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You don't have no direction. You're supposed to kind of develop that on yourself, for yourself as a male. You know what I'm saying? Or have a father figure. But usually if you got prenatal trauma, you know, if it's from the male, you know, that it's going to affect your thoughts. He's just going to be projecting his thoughts on to your mama and stuff like that and what he can do. So you're going to develop them thought patterns, you know, or what he can do, or, you know, whatever. It all play out for everybody differently. But for the female, it's going to play out like, if it's from the female, then likely that male ain't in your life. Essentially, he might be, you know, elsewhere, and your mom might. Let's just finish. Now, let's say the people that your mom allowed to influence her emotionally thought very highly of your dad. This is my first example. You know, she might not even saw it as much, but, you know, they probably thought like, okay, you know, this is a good dude. He got his good head on his shoulders and whatever, you know. You then receive those thoughts and feelings. Now, anytime you play, I'm getting jumbled. You then receive those thoughts and feelings, and now anytime you play out against that support of those thoughts and emotions, like let's say you're feeling down pretty much, and your dad was always getting supported for feeling up, and that's what you kind of culminated in your being, you know, as your prenatal vitamins, you know what I'm saying, coming from the external world. So let's say that the people that was talking about your father was saying, oh, your father is a good person. Oh, your father's your father, you know what I'm saying? And you support it, and you shouldn't be talking about him like that or whatever. Let's say your family felt that way about your father or whatever. Anytime you feel unsupported in your relationship or whatever, you know what I'm saying, you're going to play out the opposite energy of that. So you're going to be in a space where you're reacting to the space of that not wanting to feel supported. So you're not going to get supported in that way based upon the very primordial substance that you kind of develop as a spirit early in your travels to um, it's not going to support that. It's not going to support you feeling down. You're going to have to find some way to exercise why you feel down or something like that. It's going to be something that hit the fan. It's going to be something that hit the fan where you're going to have to exercise that why you feel down, and you ain't going to reap the benefits of it. So let me read that again. Now, let's say the people that your mom allowed to influence her emotionally thought very highly of your dad when she didn't see it as much. You then receive those thoughts and feelings now anytime you play now. And anytime you play against that support of those thoughts or emotions, let's say you're feeling down, that substance that you developed around that will play out as resistance from helping you reap the benefits of being down. So you won't be able to reap the benefits of being down, basically. You know what I'm saying? Anytime you play out that energy, those people, places, and things that you developed as substance and how you build your relationship coming up going to act as resistances to you feeling down, because you already built the psychological wiring and that substance as a spirit to kind of help that validate your character. Okay, now those subtle substances that you develop from the organs interacting with the atmosphere develop into how you build your life. And the atmosphere is just the thoughts and feelings in the atmosphere. And as a child, you can kind of pick up on that early. So those subtle substances that you develop from your organs interacting with the atmosphere develop how you build your life. A lot of the people, places, and things that you attract early on are a part of that resistance. So these gonna be like your friends, whatever, all the way down to it become your friends. You know what I'm saying? How you treat yourself and the life situations that you develop. And until you have enough spiritual awareness to know how to shake that psyche, you'll be in the prison of not even knowing where that started from. So that's another one. If you don't know how to shake it, you're gonna be in the prison of it. Now, this is for all my aware spirits too, because a lot of people don't choose to become aware in this way of what they did early before birth. So, you know, you might not have any like 12th house placements or anything, or, you know what I'm saying, but a lot of people that do have a certain shake and psyche shock, you know what I'm saying, these are spirits that be coming here with more spiritual intelligence, because when they was getting shocked through the prenatal phase, they was becoming aware, and they created awareness in areas that a lot of spirits don't do. So they would be more sensitive to senses and more sensitive to things, but they don't really realize that until like later that they came here, that they was a little bit more aware. You know what I'm saying, in that sense. All right. Now, on the opposite side, let's say your mom didn't have a man to fight for her. So let's say she didn't have a man to fight for her. You know what I'm saying? Cause this shit deep, bro. Like, this shit deep. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta be spiritually aware to kind of know what the fuck I'm talking about. Like, this is why people get into spirituality. It'd be like them early traumas, and those almost feel like helpless on you based upon the space you developed them in. And because they was dealing with such a vulnerable space, you know, a lot of times you react to that in real life from that space still, based upon you not dealing with that, but you still being aware. Like, it's deep, y'all. It's deep. It's deep. It's real deep. You gotta be aware to catch this. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be uh, privy to catch this. If you don't, you might go through life figuring out like trying to figure out like what's going on with you. Like you might think something is wrong with you. You know what I'm saying? You might think something is fucked up about you, and that ain't even really the case. You know what I'm saying? It don't even really be the case. It'd be some psyche shit. You know what I'm saying? It'd be some you have to become aware of, what you did spiritually shit. It'd be that shit before I even get to um what's going on with you physically. You know what I'm saying? Because we develop traumas. If you thinking we developing traumas, you know, here, you know what I'm saying, by shit happening to us, what makes you think you're not developing traumas early on? Especially on a in a psychic way. You know what I'm saying? Beyond, you know, just being in, you know, the light. Why you think you're afraid of the dark? You know what I'm saying? You may be afraid of that space in your mind and stuff like that, based upon, you know. But let's keep moving. Now, on the opposite side, let's say your mom didn't have a man to fight for her kids, so she was just open for all the vultures. Anytime you try to reap the benefits of having direction, you know what I'm saying, it ain't gonna work for you. It's almost like you reap the more benefits in not having direction. But you know that don't feel right with your spirit. So that's when you realize, boom, okay, you got the witchcraft. So when you was coming up, based upon the thoughts and feelings that was getting projected on you, and especially if you in a male's position, like, you know what I'm saying, likely you was single mom and stuff like that, so you was your mom had already was developing a sense of your dad ain't shit. And you know what I'm saying, based upon what was happening in the environment or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So that already kind of traveled and trickled down to you as a spirit, and you started to interact with that as a spirit based upon that energy being directed towards you, and because you was the seed. You know what I'm saying? So whatever she was watering her seeds with, you know what I'm saying, or whatever, intentionally or unintentionally, you know what I'm saying, it still affects you. So this is why kids come out, this is why kids come out hyper aware, because some become aware of their space early and stuff like that. So, based upon the resistance that they was feeling and going through, if they're the more aware and contracted spirit, they're going to, be aware of, that early on. They might not know it once they go through that Goku bump their head, you know what I'm saying, and become aware in a different way, you know what I'm saying, like where they get indoctrinated to the system and stuff like that. They still come out here very talented, you know what I'm saying, very gifted, very bright or whatever, and essentially that be already developed in a certain way based upon them, being aware of that, how they was going to deal with that before birth and stuff. So like I said, it's, you know what I'm saying? So so let's say as a child, right? Let's say as a child you always had direction for yourself. You was the best singer, you was the best hairstyler, you was the best painter, whatever. But when you get into the real world, you can't reap the full benefits from it. All right, so let's say that. But anytime you get into the world, like you got blockages, all the way down to where you get to watch others who might not even be as talented as you in that area or something like that. You may see them reach accolades. You might start thinking something is wrong with you, right? Or you're not good enough. So, so I'm here to tell you that it's not that. It's the awareness, the emotional, and it takes awareness, it takes emotional intelligence, and it takes some experiences and expansion to realize early on you created a trauma response mechanism that was project from what was projected on you. You know what I'm saying? And this is when you get to developing prenatal trauma. Now, some spirits become aware of this, like I said. You know what I'm saying? This is why spirits turn to religion, spirituality, self-help, or they feel like they're getting attacked in an area where they don't know or something down with them. It's just dealing with your trauma. That's really it. All right. So, Your mom was likely developing thoughts and feelings via herself or others on how your dad wasn't dependable and couldn't be counted on, and maybe she made the wrong choice, and that energy play out as psychic events and stuff like that that you kind of going through. You know what I'm saying? That you develop and within your psyche being, especially if you got like 12th house, if you got like water placements, this could be correlated. The trauma, the resistance gonna be um, can play out like your south node. So the people, places, and things that play out as the resistance that you can't get right with, that can play out like your south node, and your individuality or whatever to that resistance or what you got to be uncomfortable with can play out like your north node as well. So now, based upon you being prenatal, so you're not understanding what's going on as an experience. You're just developing mechanisms as resistance that suit your individuality, because all of us are spirits, so all of us got our own space, so all of us got our own individuality. So we only gonna, try to stand within the shit to say we not the shit, or show ourselves to more so reflect our, so that's the masculine feminine. So we gonna receive, then we gonna express. So we always gonna try to express our spirit and stuff like that, because our spirit is always expanding, and our spirit ain't nothing. You know what I'm saying? So for the most part, it don't matter what people were saying at that moment. You know what I'm saying? You always gonna have your own space. Now, how you deal with that and the outcome of that gonna determine how strong you are as a spirit, but it ain't gonna necessarily, be anything but that. But like I said, so you come out gaining awareness from that primordial substance you created, not even knowing what you up against. You know what I'm saying? You didn't even know that was going on. Like, you didn't even know that, because obviously your grandmama or your granddad or whoever was doing the trauma to you, you know what I'm saying? Of course they gonna love you. They're gonna tell you they love you. They gonna tell you the best. They're gonna tell you, you the sun, moon, and stars and stuff like that. But you not realizing from the prenatal phase, when you was in the prenatal phase, it was still stuff she was saying to your mom. It was still stuff that your mom was developing that is going to put you in a space where, now that you, before you were born and stuff like that, you still was responding to that. You still was developing substance upon it or whatever. And that comes at your most sensitive stage. So y'all got to watch how y'all talk to pregnant women too. They already say that. Because it helped the kid develop, the embryo, whatever, the head, whatever, the spirit in that body that's developing is still developing shit, and stuff that's gonna help it have resistance in the world, towards the world. So this is why kids already come out smart. This is how we doing this. You know what I'm saying? This is something we can look in life and see every day. But yeah, so once you do that Goku bump your head and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? Okay, now your grandma, you outside, so she ain't finna tell you to your face. You know what I'm saying? She ain't finna tell you to your she ain't finna break your dreams or whatever. She actually don't even believe that. But it could have been, just her, her and her people relationship. You know what I'm saying? Or her relationship with the people that could give you the prenatal trauma, where you developing ideas where, essentially that you developing certain ideas that don't suit your individuality and stuff like that. So now, anytime you try to play out your individuality, you start feeling the resistance to that anytime you try to play out your individuality. You know what I'm saying? So if your people thought your fathering based upon your father, and your father wasn't gonna be nothing or whatever, and that was emotionally felt, as a trauma from your mama and stuff like that, a lot of times you gonna grow up manifesting them situations. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna manifest them situations from that circumstance, situations, because you was already developing that resistance to that atmosphere, being in that atmosphere, or dealing with them emotions and feelings via your mom. and things. So you can wake up with the Goku effect. You can come out happy go lucky, you know what I'm saying, trying to go crazy. But you forgot your mission. You know what I'm saying? You were supposed to destroy that because whatever that was trying to attack you. And this is when we get deeper into the government and how they be trying to stop spirits and stuff like that. You know what I'm saying? From coming here and actually showing their individuality. But real spirits always prevail. Prevail. You know, real spirits will always prevail. But you know, we'll get into that on a different time. But yeah, so this is how you deal with the prenatal trauma, you know, or how you develop it, you know, based upon whatever game was getting kicked to your mama about your father, then that's how it's gonna play out with you in your life. You know what I'm saying? And you're gonna develop that substance that's going to be resistance towards you playing out the opposite of that energy. So if your people was telling your mama, your pop is good, anytime you try to act not good and stuff like that, you're gonna produce a resistance to keep you out of that space. You know what I'm saying? Now, if you was told, if your mama was developing thoughts and feelings that you wasn't gonna be good, anytime you're trying to be good and things, you're gonna develop people that put you in that space of not being good because that's kind of what you develop prenatally as a spirit based upon the substance your mom was sucking in and feeding you as a kid and stuff like that. But you know, it has its pros and cons. The pros is that you can develop crazy talents because you know you was on it early. You know what I'm saying? Or you can develop crazy, you know, type shit. You know what I'm saying? You can develop mentally, you can become mentally aware early. You can tap into spirituality. You can, you know, do things like that. That's the pros. The cons of it is that, you know, if you don't do the shadow work and if you don't know what's going on with you, then you may start to blame other people, you know what I'm saying, in your life, you know, for, you know, this space. And you may feel very on eggshells and sensitive and like always people trying to talk about you. And, you know what I'm saying, you might develop things like that. And that ain't necessarily healthy to bring into other relationships if you ain't done your prenatal trauma review based upon, you know, whatever. Now you can go to your people and ask them, okay, how was you feeling? How was this? And how was that? How was they feeling about my dad? Whatever. Cause if they ain't think your dad ain't had no direction, trust me, it's gonna hard for be anytime it's gonna be hard for you to think you got direction. You know what I'm saying? Well, it's not gonna be hard for you to think, but it's gonna be hard for people to see you in that way and stuff like that. So this is how it come to like snakes that can come in and kind of use you because they becoming aware of your habits. You know what I'm saying? And those habits, you know, be based upon that insecurity of them subconsciously knowing that like, okay, you at a disadvantage, and because you at that disadvantage, you know what I'm saying, you could be taken advantage of where you may think you kind of, you know, bumping heads and doing a relationship for a person one way and stuff, and but they see you in a different way. They might know you talented, but based upon your habits, they might feel like you're not gonna do that, so it's not even worth kind of really paying your attention and time to that thing. And it could be solely based upon prenatal trauma. You know what I'm saying? Based upon how you develop, you know, your thoughts and feelings, because you within your prenatal, and you're not addressing these things going through life, so they just a lingering thing that you ain't dealt with that you kind of recreate over and over again. You know what I'm saying? Until one day you wake up and be like, okay, I got to deal with this shit because it ain't working for me. And then you start seeing like, okay, why is people seeing me like this? You know what I'm saying? When I'm like this and stuff. And like I said, that can be in a lot of reasons when it comes to like prenatal trauma, and it gets vast. But you know, I just kind of wanted to bring the general context to y'all to let you know that this is very much a thing. You know what I'm saying? This is very much a thing that people experience, and you know, that with time and work, if you do the right mental work, you know what I'm saying, you can um, start to shake the psyche. So y'all want to make sure that y'all is shaking the psyche up within y'all life. So yeah, so that's really alive and stuff like that, you know what I'm saying? But making sure we all waking up to this prenatal trauma and stuff. So that's just something that wiser spirits can do and stuff. So I was already aware before. I was already aware before I made it to Earth and shit like that. I became a little aware early. So, but I ain't know that was what I was going through too, or the percentage level. So now that um, you know, concepts like prenatal trauma, and thank God for spiritual concepts where shadow work and shit done for the right reasons. You understand, to help your situation, you know, get you on your feet. And man, this can be something real good for you. All right. And I'm Cashapp CeitoLLC, the spirit coach. We're gonna have a part two of this too. All right, get your ass in the game.